It's good, John. Surprise, man. Today I had this thinking because I had been made this list and I've rearranged it at times as well. But I just wanted to come here and make a real video because I was thinking like I've been having trouble doing the reaction videos because of the storage issue and things like that going on. But you know what? I thought of something to do. And like I said, this list has been changed at times, so who knows? It could change at any time. But this is my current top 20 my top 20 WWE greatest of all time list. And like I said, and all right, I'm gonna give a disclaimer before we say anything. So this is who I feel is the greatest of all time, because I feel like there's a difference between the greatest of all time and your favorite of all time. Because if this list was my favorite of all time, it would be a lot more of the modern guys, like the people who are wrestling now. A lot more modern superstars would be on this list, but this is not my favorite of all time. This is who I feel is the greatest of all time, which means I factored in things like charisma, promo skills, the moments, the matches, the one of the major things was like moments, matches, and like drawing power, name notoriety in the mainstream world. Like a lot of this list, like that was like kind of the top thing, was like, you know, mainstream media, legendary moments, because that's what you remember. You remember the moments, and then things like character work and promo. Those were like the highest on the list. But we're gonna get right into it. Ain't gonna waste no more time. Y'all comment y'all top 20 or top 10, whatever you want to do. But these are my top 20 greatest of all time. We're gonna get into that right now. And I don't even have I'll put it in my notes, but I can remember it off the top of my head. So I'm gonna have, like I said, I'm gonna give like a brief description of kind of why I think that. I'm not gonna have this video be too long, but I'm gonna give a brief description of why I think this person's the greatest. But just some honorable, there we go. Honorable mentions are people off the top of my head, are people like that won't, I know unfortunately won't be on this list, but I'm just giving, like, you know, I'm just being honest, you know what I mean? People like honorable mentions are people like Kurt Angle, Bret Hart, Booker T, Sting, Kane, RVD, Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes. I'm just thinking of people off the top of my head. Bruno Sammartino, trying to think. Is there anybody else I can think of as like an honorable mention on this list? I'm trying to think of. Does anybody else? Owen Hart. Anybody else that's an honorable mention on this list that won't be on here, but I'm trying to make sure I kind of get some of these people out. Okay, so as far as what I could think of in terms of honorable mentions off the top of my head, those are the only ones I was able to get. But I'm really trying to think if I have anybody else that I want to say as like an honorable mention. Okay, I don't have anybody. It might be something that hit later. I don't know. Just okay, Big Show. That's the only one I got. Big Show. That's not gonna be on this list. I think I said Sting already. And yeah, all right. So those are my honorable mentions as far as who I can think of off the top of my head. But let's get into this. Why my nose itchy? Let's get into this thing right now. So top 20, like, comment, subscribe as we get into this thing. Number 20, I had Rey Mysterio. Like I said, I'm gonna give a brief description as to why. Like I said, some of the list was rank off of like impact, charisma, did they draw money and all this, like all these, it's a lot of things that kind of went into this list, because I wanted to make at least a lot of this list, I wanted to base it off of like some accuracy. You know what I mean? I didn't want to just go, oh, that's my favorite. I wanted to base it off, okay, impact, drawing power, character work, ring work. I wanted to, make it off of that too. The big thing is like moments. Those are like the big thing. But anyway, okay, so Rey Mysterio, I mean, come on, the greatest luchador of all time, the most notable luchador of all time. The mask is legendary. He's a one-of-a-kind superstar. And because, it made him even more special that he was the first of his kind, obviously. And he's a generational babyface. I mean, the guy's got booed like what? As far as in the WWE, which he spent most of his career, he's only got booed like maybe like once or twice in his entire career. I mean, just a legendary babyface. Legendary underdog. Oh, Bryan Danielson won't be on this list. Daniel Bryan, I forgot to put him on the honorable mentions. But yeah, it's a lot of people. I could go down the list and say like AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, all these other people that won't be on the John Moxley / Dean Ambrose. Like there's a lot of people that won't be on this list, but especially a lot of like the modern guys. Cody's not gonna be on here, But anyway, sorry, got off track. But yeah, legendary underdog, babyface, luchador, wrestler, And like I said, the thing that made him even more special is that he was the first of his kind to like get big as a superstar with the luchador mask and wrestling the luchador style. He was like the first one to really break big into the business. So that added that much more to make him get on this list. And, you know, who doesn't love Rey Mysterio? But that was my number 20. Like I said, not to make this video too long, I'm going to give brief descriptions. All right, number 19, I got Macho Man. Oh, yeah. Randy Savage. So I put him on this list because, you know, obviously one of the top guys, other than freaking Hogan and maybe Warrior, the top guy, other than like those two, the top guy in the 80s. Very inspirational, was great in the ring. Great character. You just believed what he said. You know, he brought so much energy. He had a good physique, good look, and you could just believe in him. You know, he had that type of presence, you know, Miss Elizabeth and everything. Like, you just think of all these moments and think of the personality. And I got that. That's another thing. Like, when you can hear that name and immediately think of a Macho Man promo or the way he talks, and, you know, when you can think immediately that person's personality, I feel like that adds you up on the list, because when people hear that name, they can immediately go and, you know, kind of imitate a promo of theirs. Like, when you can do that so quickly, that's how you know someone's made an impact. But yeah, had him at my number 19, one of the top guys of the 80s, very inspirational to others. And but rest in peace to him, man. God had to put him on this list. Number 18, Mick Foley. There was no way. And the prodigy means no way. No, I'm kidding. No, so yeah, he had to go on this list. I was thinking to myself when I was making this list, because I made it like a while ago, but I would like change it at times based off what I thought. But Mick Foley, I was like, there's no way he couldn't go on this list. I mean, a hardcore, probably the biggest hardcore legend name, legendary underdog babyface. The spot, obviously, we know him going choke slam through the cage onto the mat, but the most notable one we remember is when The Undertaker on that same match in 97, I think it was, choke slammed him all the way off the cage and through the table. I mean, him taking that spot alone had to put him in the top 20 list. And then, you know, obviously the thumbtack spots and they going through the flaming tables and the barbed wire matches, death matches, whatever you want to call. I mean, he had a great personality. Like I said, got over as a major babyface, especially when he had beat, I think, Corporate Rock at the time he was. But when he beat The Rock in that legendary pop, and that was a moment, yes, I told you, moments were on this list as kind of how somebody got to where they are. Yeah. The freaking thing that made people change the channel from WCW to WWE when they exposed or spoiled the finish of Mick Foley won the WWE title. And that actually made more people watch WWF at the time, /E. So, yeah, those moments and him going through flaming tables and him, like, just all these things and moments you could think about. And then the last thing I'm going to say about him is think about, not only was he a nice guy, but the amount of people he put over in his career. I'm not going to name, well, yeah, I can name them. People like Edge and people like Randy Orton and people like, you know, Triple H and people like, just all these people, when you think, like, he just he was selfless. And not only did he never have a problem with putting anybody over, but he never also had a problem with putting you over in a massive way. Like, he didn't have a problem with having to go through a death match or all this other stuff, because he really wanted to his character was also like to bring out that more vicious side of you, that next level side of you. So he was a just very believable, great storyteller. I mean, you know, Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Mankind, Dude Love. So the fact that another thing that adds to his greatest of all time, the different characters he had and could get over with any of them, you know what I mean? But all right, moving on to number 17, I got Goldberg. One of the top draws for WCW, legendary. We all know the, you know, the mainstream name attention. We know the spear. We know the jackhammer, the 1, 2, 3. And, you know, you just gotta be honest with yourself. You know, it's Goldberg. You know, he had that influence, that impact. People paid their tickets to see him do that. You know what I mean? So you gotta give him that credit, whether you like him or not. For what he did and for what he was able to do in wrestling, it worked for him. That, to me, added him to the GOAT list, is because he wasn't like the greatest wrestler, but for what he was able to do, he was able to draw massive off of that. So you got to give him credit there. But yeah, that put him on the list from, like I said, I mean, you could name different types of spears when he did the jackhammer to Goldberg, or Goldberg, the jackhammer to Goldberg. Goldberg did the jackhammer to the Giant, or Big Show at the time, or Big Show as we know. He did the jackhammer to him, and, it's just all of these, and, obviously the streak, what was he, like 173-0? So, I mean, come on, like, there's multiple things or moments you can think about, and, it's Goldberg, you know what I mean? So you got to put him on the list. So at number 16, even though, he's going through some things, if you know what I mean, Brock Lesnar. I put him there because, I mean, come on, bro. When you think about it, a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent, great athlete, is the only person ever to win the WWE Championship and the UFC Heavyweight of all weight divisions, right? Heavyweight, not just a UFC champion, a heavyweight where you getting your hardest hitters. Became the UFC heavyweight champion and the WWE champion, and is the only person to ever do that in their career. Not only as UFC heavyweight champion, but just as a UFC champion in general. Nobody has ever won of any division a UFC championship and also won the WWE championship. So the only person to ever do that and further legitimized himself in his career. And there's different moments of his you can go through. I mean, the guy went from an amateur wrestler to a pro wrestler for like a year in WWE, a year, maybe a year and a half, and then then became a UFC star, became mainstream, especially when he joined the UFC, was a draw there as well. He drew well in for their pay-per-view buys and all that. And then, like I said, that just further reincarnated the beast, no pun intended, but into the massive draw he ended up becoming for WWE. So, I mean, he's got the mainstream name and attention and the aura and the presence. Once in a lifetime beast, you got to put him up there. My number 15 is Roddy Piper. For me, for what I've seen of him, watch different clips, watch different things, like, I was captivated. Like I said, top heel in the 80s was probably, I mean, at the time he was feuding with Hogan, I think he was like the only top heel that could, that would make sense to be in there opposing Hulk Hogan. So massive heel for a top babyface like Hulk Hogan, and was in the main event of the first ever WrestleMania. And the dude just great talker, mainstream name. He has some Hollywood name notoriety there because he did a couple of movies. But yeah, just a legendary talker, believable, and, could rock it out on the microphone, and just was like, just personality, larger than life personality, things like that you don't see nowadays, you know what I mean? But had to put him on that list. From what I do know about him, yeah, just freaking captivating. But number 14, I got, funny enough, Hulk Hogan. Come on, even if, I know there's things you don't like about him, but in the politicking and all that, I get that. But, come on, man. Hulkamania, running wild, the ripping of the shirt, the double bicep pose, the 24-inch pythons, the, 8 WrestleMania? I think it was like 8 WrestleMania main events. He main event like the first, what was it? The first 8? I mean, was it the first 8 or 9? I think he main evented the first 8, or I forget if it's 8 or 9. He main evented like the first 8 or 9 WrestleManias. I forget if it's 8 or 9. But main evented the first almost 10 WrestleManias. And arguably the biggest name ever in wrestling history. Big mainstream name, mainstream draw. The man who transcended wrestling, or was the top guy to transcend wrestling into the mainstream world, brought them to that point and that level of success. So for what he brought in, you know what I mean? You're bound to get an ego in that situation when you achieve that as well. But, yep, he's legendary. Even if you don't like the guy or not a big fan, legendary guy, man. But going into my number 13, I got Ric Flair, man. Woo! You know what I mean? Gotta put Ric Flair up there, Rolex wearing, limousine riding, jet flying, kid stealing, wheeler dealing, son of a gun, whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to call him, legendary. Another guy, mainstream name, a guy who you can immediately think of the woo, the promo. You can think of that just the second somebody mentions the name, you know what I mean? Again, another guy, mainstream name, had a lot of moments. I mean, for somebody of my age and my generation, the first moment I can think of is freaking, well, 2 of them came to mind. One of them was obviously his retirement match with Shawn Michaels And then the other one was the one where he was on WCW television freaking said, by the time you're back, from commercial, I'll be naked, because he was stripping off the clothes and everything. And just the promos he's had, and, the tear in my eye, after he won the Royal Rumble, just multiple, that's what I mean, like, mainstream name and impact. And like I said, the thing that really made you up on this list is the amount of moments you made and produced. That to me is what, because that's what we remember in wrestling. If nothing else, we remember the moments, even if we won't remember every single move in a match or anything like that. But the legendary Ric Flair at my number 13 spot. At number 12, I had the Rated R Superstar, man. I had Edge as the number 12 spot. And like I said, some of these people, I get it. It's like, well, how is Edge more mainstream than Hulk Hogan? And I know it's not full accuracy. I said I use some accuracy. I didn't say I use full accuracy, because if it was full accuracy, then this list will be a lot different and you have to do a lot more studying and all that blah, blah, blah. But I put Edge up there because, like I said, part of this is going to be because of the generation I grew up in. So that's going to affect the list, I understand. But anyway, just had to say that. Edge on this list, I mean, dude was a top tag team in the hottest era of wrestling, the Attitude Era, in the late 90s. Top tag team with Christian, who was also an honorable mention. Top guy there in that aspect. Who else? What else was I about to say? Yeah, went for a top tag guy to upper mid-carder. Yeah, so he was a legendary tag guy. Then he went to the upper mid-card. And then he went to the Ultimate Opportunities, where he had those legendary cash-in, the one he did on John Cena. And I think he won like he was the first guy to cash in the Money in the Bank successfully twice. And then I think he was the only person to win. Was that him or Punk that won Money in the Bank back-to-back years? I think that might have been Punk who did that. But anyway, yeah, he cashed in on John Cena, so that helped the Ultimate Opportunities character to really get his foot in the door. And then the one we all know, the Rated R Superstar, when he was just the ultimate slime ball of a heel, had Lita next to his side, had that really high-rated segment when him and Lita were getting it on in the middle of the ring on Raw. That was wild, but that did a big rating. You know what I mean? So, like, I just, like, the spear through the flaming table to Mick Foley, the spear to Jeff Hardy at WrestleMania 17 when Hardy was hanging on top of the thing to get the belts in that ladder match, speared him off the ladder. But the way he had to unfortunately retire. Then when he came back, that was a legend. I was watching that live, by the way, when he came back at the Royal Rumble in 2020. Legendary there. So just a lot of legendary moments and matches, and he's main event at WrestleMania. Just a solidified top GOAT status guy, Hall of Famer. He's already in the Hall of Fame. Plenty of these people I probably mentioned are in the Hall of Fame already, but that was my number 12. Number 11, I got CM Punk at number 11. Or no. Dang it, I messed up my list. Number 11, I got Roman Reigns. God, I messed it up. Number 11, I got Roman Reigns. I mean, just off of, I know, obviously he had the Shield. Then he had that, obviously, that stint in his career from like late 2014 to early 2020, where they tried to force him down their throats as the over baby face. But man, since he's been the tribal chief for like 4 years, almost 4 years now, he's been the tribal chief, 1,316 days. I mean, you got to put him, to me, at least in your top 20, or maybe at least top 25, maybe at least, but gotta put him in there, bro, for what he's done as the tribal chief alone. Has created so many storylines, so many moments. And like I said, when I say that moments were high on this list, and when I say drawing power is high on this list as well, I mean, this dude had one of the most highest rated segments when he had the Bloodline segment. It was like almost a 3.1 million viewership in the second quarter of the SmackDown show, in the second quarter hour, which if you don't know what that means, basically the show is from 7 to 9, or for different time zones, some people it's from 8 to 10. But for my time, Central Time, is 7 to 9, and quarter 2 is 7:15 to 7:30. And then quarter 3 is either 7:30 to 7:45. So you can see the pattern here. But yeah, I mean, drew almost 3.1 million people. And then when he was having his 1,000-day celebration, that drew like 2.8 or 2.9 million people. That segment drew in like the last quarter as his 1,000 day celebration. So the man drew. I mean, the man was bringing in the ticket sales, the revenue, like I said, the legendary moments. I mean, you can immediately think of matches like the one he had with Drew at Clash at the Castle, the one he had with Jey Uso to start his career, mainly the one in Hell in a Cell. You remember that one a little more. But that one, the one with Sami Zayn in Montreal at Elimination Chamber, the matches he had with Kevin Owens, the matches he had with, I already said Drew, the match he had with Edge when he double pinned him and Bryan at WrestleMania 37, the match he had with Edge at Money in the Bank, the match he had with John Cena when he was there when John Cena obviously John Cena returned at Money in the Bank 2021 and to confront Roman. And then they had the match in 2021, Roman Reigns versus John Cena, and yeah, just legendary. And we know it's been some bad moments too, suffering succotash, but the Tribal Chief, good on the microphone, legendary promos. I mean, the way he talked trash about Seth Rollins is one of the best promos I've ever heard from him. Is the one he was talking about, do real champs walk like this because of making fun of Seth Rollins' knee injury. And just, he just was cooking Seth, man. And, it's talking about Cena, how he says the same stuff. It's like missionary position every single night. And that promo he was talking when he said, "This is my cameraman, this is my cameraman, I own this ring, I own this place, I own you," like the one he did on Brock Lesnar. Just a lot of memorable promos I'm thinking of off the top of my head. And I already said the memorable moments and some of the memorable matches. Like, just, you can't deny that the man has been doing great. Had to be high on this list. But yeah, like I said, part of this list can be affected because I'm, young. I'm of the younger generation, the Gen Z, you know what I mean? So, of course, a few more modern guys are going to be in this list, or a few of them. But anyway, that's my number 11. Shout out to Roman Reigns, 1,316 days. Main event, the only guy to main event. I think he's the only guy to main event 4 WrestleManias back-to-back, 2 separate times. Because remember, he main evented WrestleMania 31, 2, 3, and 4. Then he skipped 2 years and then made event of WrestleMania 37, 38, 39, and 40. 2 nights of 40. So, I mean, come on. You got to give the guy credit where credit's due. So, I put him at my number 11. He just couldn't crack that top 10. But at number 10, which the guy just said, is CM Punk. The reason why he got the edge on Roman here is because even though I do think Roman's had more moments than Punk, I feel he's probably had more moments. I just think Punk would be the bigger name / maybe the guy who I feel that made the bigger impact. Obviously, the first thing you can think about as far as moments go with CM Punk is the pipe bomb, obviously, 2011 in Las Vegas. I think it was was it in June? I don't know why I feel like that was the month it was in. But yeah, the pipe bomb was legendary. Was one of the top guys when I was growing up. So yeah, CM Punk had to go on this list. I think he was the first one to win Money in the Bank like back-to-back years. Yes, he has never main evented WrestleMania, but I think he will one day. But then, so he's still wrestling to this day. So I feel like that adds more points to him as well because he's still doing it. And yeah, just a guy who made tremendous impact. I mean, more than you want to give him credit for. I mean, it's plenty. It's for men and females. Both will admit that he was a big inspiration in their career. So for the impact he's made on the people growing up and just standing up for himself, being the rebel, I think another thing that adds him some more points is he was a very realistic. You could buy into him. He, was saying the stuff the fans were wanting to say. And, he was a really entertaining guy and brought a passion in life. Even now when he came back in 2023, or not now, but, last year, obviously. But even recently, I'll say, when he came back late 2023 at Survivor Series, I mean, the crowd reaction for that, and when it was the pipe bomb and when he came back in 2023 for a Survivor Series, 2 times that dude just reignited a pulse and a feeling back into pro wrestling, man. 2 times he did that was the Money in the Bank promo, and then when he took return last year for Survivor Series in 2023. But yeah, that had him on this list. Obviously, the Money in the Bank 2011, the crowd going crazy for him, him beating John Cena at that pay-per-view. But yeah, he just had multiple moments and deserved to be on this list. Top guy, drew money, still draws now, draws tickets, draws money, you know what I mean? So he had to be up on this list, man. But yeah, that goes for CM Punk. But now I'm trying to maybe try my best to make this under 30 minutes. But going into number 9, I got Randy Orton. Randy Orton, obviously, I mean, even if you don't know Randy Orton, I mean, you might have heard of the RKO. I mean, he's probably one of the only people I know outside of maybe outside of maybe 3 or 4 more people that had a legendary finisher. Like the only finisher I can think of that have that mainstream attention is like the Tombstone, the Stunner, the Rock Bottom, 619. Those are like probably the only finishers I can think of. That maybe Swanton, maybe that one. But other than those, the RKO to me is the most mainstream finisher, other than maybe the Tombstone Pile Driver. That is the most mainstream finisher of all time. Everybody or a lot of people know what an RKO is. So even if you don't really know Randy Orton like that, you've heard of the RKO and you know how to hit it and everything. But anyway, they made his finisher a mainstream thing. But yeah, Randy Orton going from Evolution to the Legend Killer to the Viper, which was, people say, some of the best work of his career, to, the Apex Predator. I don't know really what he's going by nowadays, but, known for being the Snake. I mean, punted, moments I can think of off the top, punted Vince McMahon in the head, punted Shane McMahon in the head, punted pretty much the whole McMahon family in the head, kissing one of the most, I think still to this day, the WWE's most viewed video ever is when he did that segment where he had Triple H handcuffed to the ropes and he kissed Stephanie while she was freaking unconscious. That is literally, I think, their most viewed video on their YouTube channel to this day is still that video, with like hundreds of millions of views on that. So that's how you know the storyline at that time, him and Triple H, that was a hot storyline. But anyway, Randy Orton, legendary. Like I said, you know what the RKO is. The punt kick was devastating. Legendary RKOs, like the one he did with Evan Bourne, the shooting star press into an RKO. The Seth Rollins, when he went for the stomp and he popped him up and caught him in the RKO. The simple RKOs, like the one where, CM Punk went for a springboard at WrestleMania, got caught with an RKO. Carlito got caught with an RKO when he tried to do a springboard off the top. Who else got caught with a good one? The Jeff Hardy twist of fate counter twisted him into the RKO. Like, I'm just thinking of just different times he just caught people in the RKO. But yeah, just legendary RKOs, legendary moments, legendary storytelling moments with the punt kick and everything. But yeah, had to be on this list. Gotta love Randy Orton, gotta put the respect for the man. Feel what I'm saying? But number 8, Eddie Guerrero. I think that goes without saying. Lie, cheat, steal, Latino. He, you know what I mean? And I mean, just made a massive impact on the business. And is one of the only guys who you can say, obviously got over really well, despite him being a smaller guy, got over really well. Massive impact on the wrestling community, well respected by everybody in the wrestling community, mainstream attention name. And one of the only guys that you could say was as good of a heel. He's one of the only guys who you can say was one of the greatest baby faces and heels of all time, like both. It's rare that you can, because usually people go, oh, he's worked way better as a heel or he worked way better as a face. He's one of the only guys who you can say is one of the greatest heels and faces of all time. Lying, cheating, and stealing as a heel, and then people liked him for that. You know what I mean? So one of the only guys who can say that he was one of the greatest heels and faces of all time. Fits both lists. But yeah, legendary moment, the one where he won the WWE title. The many times he did the fake out with the, throwing the chair to you and falling down. It's just so many legendary moments. And just a guy who, like I said, well loved and respected by the wrestling community. You gotta put him in your top 10. Number 7, I got Chris Jericho. The amount of times the man has reinvented himself, and even when there were obviously people more popular than him, like Stone Cold and The Rock. I mean, even the Attitude Era. Even though you had people like Stone Cold and The Rock and Triple H, just heavy competition, he still was able to hang, even though he wasn't the big guy with the great physique or anything. I mean, he had a pretty good physique, but he was one of those smaller guys. He still was able to rock it out good enough as a personality and on the microphone to where he was able to hang in there with a Stone Cold or a Rock on the microphone when, not an easy feat, you know what I mean? So if you were able to hang in there with them on the microphone and you know, not be looked upon as a complete, you know, pissant, that's a great freaking attribute to obtain. But just things I can remember was him punching Shawn Michaels' wife, one of the great rivalries and feuds. That's another thing that I get high on this list is the feuds and rivalries. The ones he had with Shawn Michaels, obviously beating The Rock and Stone Cold on the same night, becoming the first ever undisputed WWE champion. But yeah, just too many moments to name. You know, Chris Jericho reinvented himself many times, was able to get over many times. Is he as great nowadays with that? To me, I haven't been the biggest Jericho fan nowadays, but gotta put him on my top 10 for the run he has had and the career run he has had, whether it's been the Ayatollah of rock and roller / Y2J, whether he's been the Jericho as a heel with the suit, with the short hair and everything, whether it's been the Jericho with the list, but just plenty of versions of him. I mean, if you want to go more modern while he's still wrestling, you can either go, you know, Le Champion and the old show, and just many versions of himself. I mean, early, you want to go Lionheart for the early run in WCW, but just wrestled for a long time, still is wrestling, and just that's insane. Just many times he's reinvented. Like I said, not the biggest fan nowadays and recently, but gotta give him credit for the run he has had and the memories he has made. And getting to the home stretch here, number 6, I got Shawn Michaels, Heartbreak Kid, man. Come on, man. I mean, one of the greatest. I mean, truly is Mr. Even though he has I think he has funny enough, he's Mr. WrestleMania, but I think he actually has one of the most losses at WrestleMania. I think Triple H has the most losses, and I think Shawn Michaels is like either right next to him or like almost there. But yeah, has taken some of the most losses at WrestleMania. But funny enough, but yeah, Mr. WrestleMania, come on, man. I mean, you could think of 5 Shawn Michaels matches that were legendary. I mean, I can name more than that, but the match at WrestleMania, just WrestleMania alone. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna say the legendary personality as the Heartbreak Kid could work especially in his later years, could work great as a babyface, especially with his backstage antics in the late 90s, mid 90s, could definitely work great as a heel. Because part of you was a heel, but in those days. But anyway, but even then, in that time, still putting on great matches, great seller. To me, the greatest in-ring wrestler of all time is Shawn Michaels, so that got him dang near in the top 5. But, I mean, just top 5. You can name 5 matches off the top of your head. The one he had, let's go with the obvious first. The one he had with The Undertaker, the first one he had with The Undertaker. Even the second one was great, but the first one was always better, but still, you know, anyway. First one he had with The Undertaker. The classic, 2 of the matches that people always recall in his career is the one he had with Undertaker at WrestleMania, what was it, 25? I think, yeah, WrestleMania 25, the one he had with The Undertaker there, and the one he had with Ric Flair, that's another one. And then, I found it. The one he had at WrestleMania 10, the first ever ladder match that he had, and the first ever ladder match, and the one he had with Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10. WrestleMania, what was it, 11, where he faced Bret Hart in that Iron Man match. Was that WrestleMania 11? I think it was 11. Was that 11? Let's see, 13, it was Bret and Stone Cold. 12, what was 12? It might have been WrestleMania, was it 12? Was it? Hold on. It might have been WrestleMania 12. That might have been the Iron Man match where it was Shawn versus Bret, the Iron Man match. But that was a great match, to say the least. That was a great match. The one he had with John Cena, the one he had with The Undertaker, like I said, twice, both times. You can put that on there. So both of the Undertaker matches, the one with Ric Flair, the one with WrestleMania 10 with Razor Ramon, the one with Bret Hart in the Iron Man match, the one with John Cena, I almost forgot, the one with Kurt Angle, the one with Jericho at WrestleMania 19. It's just like, when you have just like so many legendary matches. And I'm just talking about WrestleMania. I didn't even say, you know, some of the ones he's had that weren't even at WrestleMania. I don't remember all the pay-per-view names for him. That's why I'm not, because I don't remember all the pay-per-view. I don't remember like matches, but I know he had one with Vader at SummerSlam. He had one with uh the one with Stone Cold at WrestleMania 14. Yeah. Even though that Shawn was hurt during that time, but still it was a pretty good match. Still put on a good match with Stone Cold at WrestleMania 14, but just so many legend. I know I tried to keep it under 30 minutes, but I just got in my bag. Legendary matches, but and I'm only at 6. But anyway, Shawn Michaels, legendary character, the Montreal screw job, even though that was memorable for the worse, for the better, for worse, but that one, the legendary Sweet Chin Music he's hit, the one on Rey Mysterio when he redid the one that they did with Shelton Benjamin, catching Shane McMahon when he tried to do the coast to coast. And just so he's another one that kind of had a out of nowhere thing, when I just remember that when it was like a triple threat between him, Cena, and Triple H. I just remember him, the match, the bell rung, and he freaking hit a Sweet Chin Music on him. And, Shawn achieving the boyhood dream. That was another moment. The another moment that I just had it. Oh yeah, when he won the first ever Elimination Chamber. That was a fantastic moment. Was that the first one? I think that was the first ever Elimination Chamber, and that was a great moment with the Shawn with the brown pants. It's just so many when he won that WWE. So he had 2 different moments as where he was the WWE champion. It was like legendary. But anyway, or the world champion, I think that might have been, but still. Anyway, legendary matches, legendary moments, got to put him up there. Number 5, I got Triple H. Even if you don't like the way he handled things and how he got to where he was, still got to give him his respect. Even now, I feel like, him being the one running the company now on TV, that to me added to his GOAT status. The stuff he did with NXT Black and Gold, that added to his GOAT status. Like little things that kind of shifted them further up the list as we're in the home stretch here with the top 5. Triple H, many moments. I mean, the pedigree. We all know the theme song, the game. I didn't even think about some of the theme songs these people had. The game, him being the authority figure, him being the top heel in the Attitude Era. Gotta give him credit there. But yeah, he was amazing at being a heel. The star of Evolution, because Ric Flair was brought in as the legend, and then Batista and Randy Orton. Batista was another honorable mention. Batista and Randy Orton being the up-and-comers, and then he was like the solidified top guy for Evolution. And then obviously DX. I mean, just plenty of faction. DX, Evolution, and what he had like 3. I think he had like 3 matches with the Undertaker at WrestleMania. The one at WrestleMania 18, the one at WrestleMania. Shoot. I don't remember all the WrestleManias he had there. But the classic one I remember when Shawn Michaels, that's another moment, even though Michaels was the referee, but the one where he gave the Sweet Chin Music to the Undertaker straight into a pedigree, and he kicked out. And I just remember his reaction, just selling that look that didn't do it. Oh yeah, Brock Lesnar also broke the streak, even though that shouldn't have happened. But that's another thing that, will make him legendary, but I forgot to mention that. But anyway, Triple H, classic storylines. I mean, the one when he fooled Shawn Michaels into thinking that somebody attacked him and it was him all along, and they had a great feud and great match at SummerSlam. That's another one. SummerSlam 2002, I think that was Shawn Michaels versus Triple H. Great match, but it is just so many matches Shawn Michaels had, bro. But anyway, Triple H, like I said, even if you don't respect how he got there, the man put in the hard work, and you can't say that he wasn't passionate about wrestling. Like I said, despite some of the politicking and all that, can't say that the man didn't work hard and truly wanted to be a top guy. Even though he did some slimy ways to get there, you cannot deny he was passionate about wrestling and wanted to be the top guy no matter what. But moving on, number 4, John Cena. Going from Thugonomics, well, first of all, a jabroni that's about to get fired, to Thugonomics that worked for that era, and then from like 2005 and now to the Super Cena C Nation, John Cena, the franchise, you know what I mean? That we all know that you can't see me. It's a whole meme that he's invisible, the Invisible Man. That's a whole meme. legendary matches. I mean, call him Big Match John. Imagine I said Big Mac. Big Match John. You know, the obese scene of Big Mac John. But anyway, Big Match John Cena, man. Obviously, he had matches like people like when he faced Triple H. I think at WrestleMania, or was it a triple threat? I think that was the one. I think he did both. I think he faced Triple H at WrestleMania, and then there was a triple threat with him and Orton. And like I said, Shawn Michaels, the one he had there. The one he had with, because matches I can think of that he had, well, I know he had Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30, 31, I think it was Rusev, 30, 33, he was in a tag match, and then the one where he had with Undertaker, but it was so freaking short. That was messed up. But recent WrestleManias, the last one he had was the one with Austin Theory at 39. JBL, I think that was the one he faced in 2005. And moments of Cena is like when he returned in Money in the Bank 2023 and 2021. And he returned for a lot of these are returns. The Royal Rumble, when he had that unexpected return and recovered like in 3 months, when he supposed to took like 6 or whatever from that tricep injury, and returned, or was it tricep injury or something like that? Returned at the 2000, I said 2005, the 2008 Royal Rumble. I mean, that was freaking great. But yeah, just dude that's had legendary moments, even though for the better and worse. I mean, obviously the one where he had his freaking elbow, that golf ball in his elbow, and they were cheering that he had to leave. And like I said, Money in the Bank 2011 with CM Punk. The multiple great matches he had with AJ Styles. The one that had at SummerSlam, the one at the Royal Rumble they had in 2017, where they actually managed to stay in the ring the entire time. Just great matches with people like AJ Styles, with people like Punk, people like Shawn Michaels. The one they had on a Monday Night Raw when I think a match was canceled, so they were given like 45 minutes, and they rocked it out in one of the best matches, especially one of the best TV matches. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, Shawn Cena, and John Michaels. Anyway, 16-time world champion, might even be the one that holds the title, the most amount of world title reigns. If he breaks Ric Flair's record, but yeah, 16-time world champion. Gotta give the man his respect, even though you didn't like him over the years. But was my hero as a kid, and was a lot of people's hero. Also has the most Make-A-Wishes ever, like not just in wrestling history, but in just history, period. Of all the celebrities from all types of worlds that have done Make-A-Wishes, he has the record for the most Make-A-Wishes, man. And that's just real stuff right there, man. So just a great human being. And then obviously went into Hollywood. That adds him on the list. And yeah, has even when it's at its, kind of people are over it, but still was in the Fast and Furious franchise there. But anyway, moving on. Number 3 is The Undertaker. Throwing Mick Foley off the top of the cage, choke slam, tombstone. The Undertaker, man. The dead man. Started in, I think he debuted in like 1990 or 1991. I think it was 1990 maybe. At Survivor Series, that debut, the multiple times he appeared and reappeared in the ring, the moments like when he was about to crucify Stephanie McMahon, when he was, I think Stone Cold too. I think he was about to crucify him. Yeah. The American. Yeah, in 2000, Attitude Era, American Badass. Yep. That was another one of his characters. And then I think 2004 and on, that's when he was like the dead man. Or like that was like the character that we all know to this day that really came to fruition. And some of the moments I can think of was when he, some of the moments I can think of is obviously him being with Paul Bearer, rest in peace to him, the urn, the Hell in a Cell match he had with Kane, when Kane debuted and all that. The one where he had tricked Randy Orton into thinking he was in the casket and then he wasn't, and then I think he came out of it was a flaming casket and he like came out of it. It was a coffin, I think he had came out of it, and I just remember that visual. Anything else I remember specifically? The multiple times obviously that he appeared and reappeared in the ring on people. The matches obviously he had with Shawn Michaels. The retirement match that he had with AJ Styles, the Boneyard match, that's what it was called. And some of the times he appeared the first time, like when I think of The Undertaker, teleporting to the ring, The first one I can think of is the one where Cena or CM Punk was holding up like his championship, and then the lights went out, and then I think Jeff Hardy, he had beat Jeff Hardy, held the title and stood over Jeff Hardy. Then the lights went out, the gong hit, and he reappeared and he took Jeff Hardy's place. And he was underneath CM Punk. That was freaking great. But yeah, obviously that. And then recently, he helped Cody win at WrestleMania 40. That was a great moment, him choke slamming The Rock. And yeah, so just multiple times The Undertaker. I mean, come on, it's The Undertaker. And Triple H, his return from his quad injury, MSG, Triple H, that was another moment I forgot to include. The water spitting, I forgot to say that as one of his moments. The water spitting and the glow sticks with DX. And then also I forgot to mention his MSG where he came back as a got one of the biggest pops in wrestling history was the one we returned in MSG. Forgot to mention that. But Hogan, I also forgot to mention NWO. Forgot how legendary that was and how that changed the culture. Forgot to mention some things I forgot to mention. Anyway, number 2, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Come on, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We know the beard. We know the what? We know the, that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. We got the hell yes. We got the just many catchphrases. Austin 316. I mean, come on, man. Stone Cold. We know the stunner. We know the stomping the mud holes, the punches, the thesz press, all of that made Stone Cold legendary. The face of the WWE when WWE was drawing its most money, when they were at their highest, was the man who beat, because of the feud he had with Mr. McMahon, led them into that was the thing that beat WCW, is that feud, that rivalry he had with Mr. McMahon as the the guy who was able to relate to the working man and the everyman who wish they could get back at their boss for the way they treat them, and he actually was able to do so. And yeah, like I said, the face of the company when the Attitude Era, when wrestling was at its best, that man, when it had the most ratings, viewership, and all of that, that man was at the top. He was the face of the company for that. So the highest drawing wrestler ever in history. Yeah, nobody can really argue that he was the highest drawing wrestler in history. And he has the highest rated segment in history. I think it was him versus The Undertaker. I think I looked this up one day. Him versus The Undertaker, that was the highest rated segment ever in Raw history, was the match. It was a TV match he had with The Undertaker. That was like the highest viewed segment in Raw history. I think it was like at 8 million or something like that. Million people watching live, but yeah, insane. But anyway, come on, you gotta give him his flowers, his props, his credits. Plenty of people he stunned with a beer, and when they spit the beer out, with Triple H, the beer truck. I be thinking of these moments like the beer truck, and the obviously the middle fingers and the stunners and the trying to think of more moments. The beer truck, yeah, we know the beer truck came. Yeah, when he got thrown into the river by The Rock, he got thrown into the river, and. Yeah, no, I think he also threw the IC title into the river, I think, or something like that. Yeah, there was that. Obviously, the legendary where he was Austin 316, we know that, after he won King of the Ring. A legendary moment when he became a babyface when he had the bleeding from his face and passed out to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. Legendary match there. The legendary matches he had with The Rock at WrestleMania 15, WrestleMania 17, WrestleMania 19. I mean, legendary matches. Even came back to face Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 38 2 years ago. Just legendary guy. Gotta give him his props. Gotta give him his credit. Is there any more moments I wanted to mention before I move on? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. But, I mean, I think everybody can pretty much predict what I got as number 1. The last one I got, the number 1, who I think is the greatest of all time. You know what I mean? On my list of who I think is greatest of all time. Not my favorite of all time. He'd be in the same spot, but still, I feel like favorite of all time and greatest of all time aren't the same thing. But he would still be number 1, and Stone Cold still would be number 2 in both lists. But the number 1 greatest of all time is The Rock. You know what I mean? The great one, the Brahma Bull, the People's Champ, the jabroni beating, pie eating, trailblazing, eyebrow raising, quicker than a bull, or quicker than a, what was it? It's, dang, I messed it up. It's Strong as a bull, faster than a buck. The greatest thing to hit Canada because the Maple Leafs suck. I wish I would have got that. But anyway, we all know the catchphrases, the jabronis, the know your role, shut your mouth, the SmackDown Hotel, the turn it sideways, stick it straight up your candy ass. We got the freaking what else? It doesn't matter what you think. We got that. And with him, it take me forever to name all the catchphrases. But a guy, obviously a notable legendary theme song, and the classic catchphrase, the if you smell what the Rock is cooking. The Rock has come back to this place and that, to Tennessee, to Memphis, to New York City, to Utah, to Montreal, just all these places he's come back to, But anyway, so became a massive draw in the business, one of the top guys. He's been Rocky Maivia, where Die Rocky Die came about, Nation of Domination Rock, Corporate Rock, the Great One, and then when he was like the face of the company Rock, from like 99 to like 2002, where he was just the face of the company, rocking out as the Great One. Then Hollywood Rock, and when he came back as a more PG version of The Rock, and then the Final Boss, the one we got now, the Final Boss. But yeah, just legendary guy, legendary promos. I mean, I can think of the one he did with Jericho, where he, was, telling Jericho that, it doesn't matter who's going to come down there. It could be, you, Chris Jericho, Jericho's daddy, Jericho's mama, Uncle Joe Jericho with the glass eye, or Grandpa Jimmy J Jericho with the iron lung, or it could even be Grandma Jezebel Jericho with the double X dirty panties. I mean, just so many promos you can remember. The I did it for The Rock. I did it for the people. Oh, nah, shut your mouth, you big thong wearing fatty, when he was talking to Rikishi. The Billy Gunn promo, but my name is Billy and I just won King of the Ring, but there's just one problem. Everybody still thinks that I absolutely suck. Well, Bob, but my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is. That was classic. Like I said, go down to legendary matches. And I could call more promos, but I'm not going to be all day. You know what I mean? Matches he had with Triple H at Backlash 2000. The one he had with Stone Cold at Backlash, I think, in 99. But then there was the matches. SummerSlam match with Booker T, the SummerSlam match with Brock Lesnar, now I'm going into WrestleMania. So WrestleMania 15, the one he had with Stone Cold. WrestleMania 16, I think it was a fatal four-way with, I think it was him, Triple H, Mick Foley, and Big Show. I just remember that being the people in it. I don't actually remember the match. WrestleMania 17 with Stone Cold. WrestleMania 19 with Stone Cold. WrestleMania 18 with the legendary, probably the most electrifying crowd ever in history when he faced Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18. That moment alone stood the test of time of that crowd in Toronto going crazy. Yeah, that has to go in there, the list alone. And then the two matches he had with John Cena. Wow. I mean, the first match him and John Cena had, Drew, is the most bought WrestleMania, and I think it's their most bought pay-per-view, the most bought until they obviously switched to streaming services, the most bought pay-per-view of all time. It had 1.2 million pay-per-view buys for a WrestleMania. Like, wow, him and John Cena was a part of that first match. And then they obviously had the rematch, and The Rock's tag match that he just had at WrestleMania was really good with him, Roman versus Seth and Cody. But yeah, just a lot of legendary moments, legendary matches. And then the last thing I'm going to say to get y'all off of here so that this won't be an hour. The thing that really made him number one is because wrestling is all about entertainment, and he was the embodiment of entertainment. And then he went on to draw in Hollywood, which is not easy, to become a highest gross. I think he was like the highest grossing actor for like 2020 it was like 2022 or whatever year it was. It was like 2 different years. I think he became the highest box office attraction in Hollywood. He was like, he was that like 2 separate years, I think he was. So the fact that he drew in Hollywood, which was peak entertainment, where you go for entertainment is Hollywood, and then did the same in wrestling, so the fact that he drew massive in both and became a mainstream name and is the most mainstream name ever in wrestling history. I don't think any name is bigger than The Rock. Everybody knows who that is, especially because of his movies, Moana, Jumanji, Black Adam, even though they got a bad review. But all the movies you can, Central Intelligence, all of these movies you can name him in. But yeah, so The Rock, that's what really got him up there, is the fact that he was highest grossing in two forms of entertainment. The biggest form of entertainment being movies, and then a big form of entertainment being WWE. So that is what really solidified him in that top spot. But y'all comment down below. Let me know if y'all agree or disagree with my list. What is y'all top 20 list? But I love you guys. The Prodigy is out, and I shall see you on the next one. Like, comment, subscribe before you leave here, and I'm out. Peace.